lower and lower. No, with the level 6, Carzzy only level 5. He just wants a couple extra creeps. The feathers fly!
I tank. Put that. I don't tank anymore. Can you just go?
I kill.
It's fine. Nice. You use 4 flashes this time, by the way.
It's fine though, yeah, it's fine. Have you... Okay.
Nice.
Action. Let's go. Daggy, nice.
They're flashing on Shaya. Go push Rakan. I think no, I can win this. Go push Rakan. 3 for 2. They're getting... I can go Talia here, look guys.
You Photon!
I flash on her.
Bombix!
We are mid.
Welcome back to the LEC. Fnatic putting themselves on the leaderboard. They might have lost at Rakan in draft, but you know what? The Blitz more than made up for it.
Yeah, I feel like the Rakan really should have had a bigger impact this game, considering the early focus coming from Daglas. The fact that they messed up the first dive really gave Noah such a good game, because I feel like the longer the game goes, the harder it is for Noah. I mean, the harder it is for Vetheo to actually kill Noah. You saw in every single fight, they were trying to dive onto the Noah, dive onto the Saya, and then every single time it pulled up like 15 feathers behind them and then shredded it in, and they all just got one shot in the
Yeah, I think like coming out from the draft you guys had in terms of what the 3 lanes looked like for Vitality in the beginning, it was very easy for them to have prior pretty much any lane could push in, and Daglas could just pick whatever lane he really wanted to. In this case scenario, they want to go bot lane, and they really want to just escalate themselves in terms of how far they can get Carzzy compared to the Saya. But Jun does a very good job in terms of how he's playing this, not only with his flash, but also cancelling out the Varus Q with his own hook here, completely just setting the Fnatic bot lane ahead. And the more that they try and go on this from Vitality, the more they just get outplayed. I think Noah had a phenomenal series on this side here with how much he was pressured and how much he actually outplayed it.
He did so much work for Fnatic this game. I feel like they really need to bow down to him after this and thank him for this scary performance, because I feel like if he didn't do this, it would be a really hard game for Vitality to win.
Absolutely, because like for Vitality with what you have here, like you take away that bot lane, you just rotate the entire map around Hilly and Carzzy and you just play through them. You use their strength around every objective, but by mitigating the amount of pressure they could have had, they no longer was able to do that. And it really just became, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think a lot of people will look at this game and think it was a fiesta because there was as many kills as there was and everything, but you also have to understand how these two teams play League of Legends. Their approach to a game in terms of sieging an objective is, well, if we want this turret, we're going to fight for it. And then Vitality is like, well, we want to defend this turret, so we're going to fight for it. So while there was fights again and again and again, it's really important that you have to understand that these are two teams that will fight for every single objective, and you can see on the stats here as well, this was one of the bloodiest, this is already turning into one of the bloodiest series that we have with how much these two teams are fighting.
Yeah, it sounds like there is method to the madness in terms of how these teams want to go punch for punch, but realistically, at what point does that stop, and does Vitality or Fnatic, this time it had to be Vitality, go, we need to reel it in a little bit because this is getting too bloody, this is getting too out of control, this is too much gold given over, and realistically, we can't even touch the Xayah.
Yeah, I think the comms you heard before where Hylissang was like, oh, we lost this fight, but used 4 flashes, sums it up very well. The way Vitality fights is, sure, they might lose the fight or go like down one member, but next fight, they know who doesn't have flash. And next time they see that person, that's a huge target. So Vitality, they do fight and they force these flashes, and then they try to repeat these fights. That's why Vitality are so good at chaining these fights, because they target people who doesn't have flash.
Yeah, and you can see how up and down the gold difference really went in this game in terms of, well, they're not really just building one clear gold lead. It's going one over to Fnatic, one over to Vitality. And in terms of answering your question, Ginny, I don't really think any of the teams are going to make it more simple. This is what they do. They want to skill check you for these objectives. They want to outplay you. There's a certain ego that goes into it, but I also think it's going to change the way that both teams will be drafting. One thing is the Xayah that makes it very easy in these team fights, because Vitality did so much to try and put down Noah, but they just were never able to do it, and he was able to just mechanically outplay them.
Hands diff.
Yeah, hands
diff, that's what it was.
But it's also like, if the enemy goes up and takes your space, you gotta let them do that for free, or you gotta fight back. You can't just let the people walk out and not let it go unpunished. I feel like that's kind of what's happening here, that both teams want to like see how far can they push the space, how deep can they go without the enemies responding. And every time they're fighting back, so there's gonna be conflict.
So all I'm hearing is limit testing, hands diff, and trying to some way, shape, or form put yourself in the lead when it comes to these team fights. But when the bot lane that was the focus here, Noah's already so far ahead, that's just a snowball that keeps on going, and Vitality didn't seem to have the answer to put him dead in his track.
I mean, they did at times, right? That's why these fights that you're seeing become so much more about the macro going into it, but also so much about the setup and the mechanics while they're being played out. I mean, you can look at the stats behind you right now. There's a clear hero of this game in general throughout the damage per minute, the damage percentage he had, and just how well he played despite how many resources was put towards him. And if you're able to put out performances like that in a series between Vitality and Fnatic, that's going to be the difference maker between these two teams, because they're not just going to turn into a lane swap G2 team out of nowhere. At least I don't think so. I think they're going to fight fist with fist over every objective, and it's up for you as a team to set yourself up for the best team fights possible.
Yeah, I feel like Vitality came in with this draft like, okay, they get Saya, but we have Varus and Jace, and she will not be able to hit freely because we're gonna poke her down. But I think they didn't play to that well, because every single fight that starts with Volibear or Rakan flashing on someone, and I think they could have taken a bit more time in the setup to actually poke down the side before they hard commit to the fight. Because every time it's just the tally wall coming in, they're flashing on someone, and that's what Saya wants. She wants to ult, pull in the feathers, and kill them all like that.
Yeah, and I also wonder how much priority this Saya is going to take going into some of the future drafts we're going to be seeing now, because Saya is not necessarily a first pick worthy champion, but at the same, I mean, you can, and it will be good, but there's still answers into it. But going from Vitality straight onto blue side now as well, and we know that's something that Carzzy also loves playing. Like, it could easily be something like 2019 flashbacks where you first pick a Kai'Sa or Saya, not necessarily the Kai'Sa, but just in general, where new picks will take priority in this compared to some of the other series we've seen.
Yeah, that's a great question, and then we're going to have an answer for that very soon as we're ready to head into game. But the adaptability of this draft, that's what we're going to be looking at first, and let's head over to our casters, Drakos and Dagda.
An excellent question. Draft, of course, deciding a lot of our first game in terms of the massive disparity or perceived disparity as the game unfolded. And in that game, a lot of individual standouts on Fnatic. It does feel like the AD carry show today. A lot of supporting actors. Don't get me wrong.
I was going to say, don't do Jun like that.
We're not doing Jun dirty.
You
know, Vitality also a lot of other supporting roles in their game 1 win, but you saw that Carzzy Varus fight where he got auto a million times. You saw that entire game from Noah. It's the AD carry show. Like, if we get to game 5, everyone's just grouping up like we're in an arena and letting them 1v1 in the mid lane to decide who takes it.
And I mean, we've already been looking at the Zeri bans. The Kalista was banned away.
The Ashe, yeah.
The Ashe gone.
Zeri's still going to be
Zeri's
banned.
still gone. And I think that's where we're going to continue. I think it is going to be a lot of focus down towards the bottom side, because you kind of highlighted in game 1 and game 2, top side doesn't really matter if you get a lead. Hasn't had that impact that we really needed to translate to the rest of the map. Mid lane is going to be a bit of a farm fest between a Taliyah or an Azir or something along these lines. So it has to be the junglers and it has to be the bot lane that are making the difference. But Vitality, going to get rid of the Azir. And we were talking in between the games saying it feels like Vetheo hasn't really found an answer to this, because we've seen a lot of the Iranian Saul come out, but he hasn't been willing to pick it. Maybe go towards the Silas, but instead Vitality just going to get it off the board.
And I think when you see the kind of, even though Humanoid wasn't necessarily like the Stark standout the way that Noah was, he wasn't in a lot of those mid-game plays. He was the one kicking things off. He was the one with the CC kind of either starting those plays or turning a lot of those plays around when it wasn't a hook coming from Jun. So now Vitality going with kind of a standard, you know, you ban the Azir, you pick the Orianna. We'll see if Humanoid wants to handshake here and just go for a control mage of his own.
There is also the option just to take the Varus and say, hey, look, we're happy enough. Ashe is also up and available, so it could be, hey, we take the Varus to try and deny an Ashe Varus take from Carzzy Hilly, maybe even set up for an Ashe Varus themselves here on Fnatic. And then if Daglas wants to go back towards the Volibear, which is favored, you can still take the Jax in this next rotation as well for Fnatic. So I wouldn't be surprised fully. At least maybe an Ashe coming through here as well. But it does mean you're then leaving, as you say, the Taliyahs and that other stuff to go. But okay, going to take the Vi.
Okay, so we've got the Varus plus the Vi. Good playmaking combination overall, leaving a little bit more room for Jun to decide what he wants to grab. Can now for Vitality pretty comfortably just lock in jungle AD, look to match Fnatic, leave it up to Fnatic if they want to mismatch roles as you head into second ban phase. And Razork, you know, even in game 1, despite the fact that Fnatic ultimately weren't able to do a lot in the game, Vi did get a pretty significant advantage. Got the 2 kills early, was a bit ahead of the clock, which can frequently be a death sentence. But now the Senna, likely to be followed by the Tahm Kench here. Okay, so we saw this, obviously in the previous series. Carzzy died a lot, but they won the game. And it wasn't a bad performance by any means. Hylissang, we've seen, when he has access to gold, makes a lot of the same amount of crazy plays, but gets away with a lot more of them.
Yeah, I was kind of curious if the Ashe was going to come through, because I still think when you see the Senna TK, not a huge amount of wave push, so an opportunity to try and make a lot of pressure plays down on that bottom side. Even though you will hit 6 later on, I think just looking for turret plates and looking to play at the map through that lane could be an option, especially since you've guaranteed mid pressure here with Humanoid. But maybe after game 1, a little bit unsure as to whether they want to go back towards that, do a AD carry lane.
One thing that I will say about this Vitality draft is the first time where I feel like they've drafted something that feels so conservative. early
Yeah,
on, right? The early levels for Senna often very tricky. Yes, Tahm, Kench in isolation is really strong, can do a lot of work, but Senna can suffer depending on what they go for. And now I'm interested to see, we see the Blitzcrank banned away, Maokai, Volibear as well. Wouldn't be surprised to see another support ban here just to try to limit what Fnatic's options are, but they have a lot of room to kind of counterpick whatever they want on the bottom side. 2 of those choices are taken, but you're going to be pretty okay with whatever.
This says to me for Vitality that they want to set up for some sort of strong carry for Photon on that top side, but with the support being taken here, which is perfect for Fnatic, I think you end up a counterpick, well, you definitely end up a counterpick for Oscarinin, which makes it hard to get a guaranteed good matchup for Photon on that top side. So you could go back towards the Jace if you really wanted to and play that style out, but it feels a little bit suspect to not have a huge amount of lanes that really right now you can play around. Dagla's going to go back towards the Sejuani. It's the only jungler that he's played that has been left open, but okay, they're going to go for the Aatrox. So yeah, it is definitely a we will heal and shield and try and fight our way through this fight,
Okay.
through this composition on Vitality. And I kind of like if Fnatic to go towards this because you get to survive the lane matchup and then you've got nice backline threat onto 2 very mobile carries on Vitality.
Yeah, it's also a champion that can be really tricky to dive. If you leave it in isolation, you know, you're not going to do a lot to it. Roam's better, does more early to mid game, and certainly is still a massive engage threat as you go on later. I like the way Fnatic have set their composition up. A lot of pressure on Noah as we get later into the game. He's going to be the one big, reliable damage source, but they just have so many tools early to mid game to pick fights. And for the first time in the series, Team Vitality really lacking, I think, in a lot of circumstances in the early game. Yes, you know, if Vetheo gets ahead in the 1v1 or you find an advantage early on, there's maybe something you could do, but I'm a bit uncertain as to what Vitality have put together here.
I don't think it's bad if it gets time to scale, but you are waiting 2-3 items, and it's with Fnatic having opportunities for Jund roam around the map, being able to play around that mid lane with the Ahri as well. It feels kind of tough for Vitality to match in a lot of situations. So, as you say, I think it's just weird when the strength that had been working for Vitality is aggression in the early stages, to then just remove all that from your draft.
Yeah, it's not clear to me who's Gandalf, but the remaining 4 members of Vitality are waiting at Helm's Deep for someone to bail them out in the late game. Because I just don't think, short of Fnatic fumbling or Vitality really outplaying, that they just have as many relevant tools early on. The Tahm Kench does shut down a ton of pick potential, though, and that is important to note because there's a Vi, there's an Ahri, there's a Rakan, all of whom in this mid-game are going to look for those isolated kills, those isolated targets. But here we are. It's time. We've completed 2 games. A best-of-3 stands in front of us. We'll see who can take the edge in our series. Who can move on to match point. That's FNC. All of them.
I didn't realize that I had an inbuilt shut-up system to me for Gios from the LPL until that chant went, and my entire system was like,
No,
do not speak.
That person was loud. It was clearly their turn to speak, Rob. We gave them the
Sorry.
talking stick.
Is
No,
that not the
it's our
microphone?
turn now.
Okay,
We can talk again.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
cool.
They're done for now. Fnatic fans showing support, respect, even after a tough game 1, still as loud as ever. Coming back strong in game 2. Daglas with a happy bee on brand. Vitality branding, brimming. This is what they wanted from their players.
A bee into a camp. Question mark as to where that camp is going to be set up.
Yes.
But there isn't really, because it's going to be mid lane, because you've got Vi and Ahri. So, Vetheo already taking a couple of love taps. Jun getting the vision control on his bottom side to let Humanoid get control and push on this early wave, and then at least try to have a wave state, or sorry, one side of the lane that is safe for him. But yeah, I think this is where Fnatic get to play out their game as they want to. This is Vitality, specifically Daglas, but I mean making sure that he tries to match Razork across the map. And it is going to be a big challenge because Razork traditionally has been one of our strongest junglers, although the playoffs haven't been his strongest performances, but still an incredibly good jungler. And this is where he gets to show it if he can have his moment in the early stages here against Vitality.
Yeah, well, Daglas has been stepping up, right? Still a lot of questions about him. Some good games and definitely a good playoffs thus far, but going to need to keep a high-level performance if they want to make it further. Vetheo early on, especially at the level 1, can do a lot to trade up against Humanoid getting level 2 first. While we look at Orianna as a scaling pick, it's important to remember that her passive does make her lane phase so incredibly lethal and annoying to play against, as well as, yeah, you can just walk around. You don't have any of those frustrating cast animations. You can just do whatever you want.
Junglers both making their way down to the bottom side. Jun and Noah already going to start to try and get some words in. Didn't miss the bush, but it's fine. They're going to give them the information that they need to as to where exactly Daglas is coming in. But I think, again, it's you want to try and make sure that Razork are getting involved in this mid lane, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him go for bottom scuttle, a contest, seeing as Noah and Jun have push on the spot side, and then start to work into a reset and look towards mid lane.
Backing off, Jun gets a good bit of early vision though, or assumes that he will. For now, he's just using his face to check that one. Make a cooldown around the corner. Is spotted, of course. So he'll be forced to back away, and this is kind of the nightmare situation for VT. Obviously, you don't have the cleanse, want to take the TP. Makes a lot of sense, but the downside is there is a ton of CC threat if you ever overstep in the lane phase. And for the first time this series, it's quiet. Keep in mind, we were on pace to break the all-time kill record in this series, and we would have done it in 4 games. The previous record was, I believe, G2 versus Mad Lions. 2021, where it was like 190 something. We
196.
Oh yeah, we were ahead of that pace. This game, though, determined to keep that record for that particular series.
They'll catch the chickens before they hatch.
Yeah,
Razork can still go down towards this bottom side, and the bounce back is there, but Daglas also doing the exact same, except Oscarinin's overextended.
Oscar, backstep is nice. Daglas on the way up. He doesn't have enough time to charge the elastic slingshot, but a flash will take him out to safety. Good bit of damage back. Nice summoner spell advantage on the top side.
Oh, Carzzy's low, has the heal. This lane state is in a terrible spot for Vitality, and Razork, I don't think he was spotted just on the edge of that ward, but Vitality playing this very, very safe at the moment.
Okay, Rob, this is what we call the tactical caster curse. There's no way that they'll... Damn it.
We need to be quicker.
Yeah, sorry. Just want the fights, you know? That's what I live for. Seems Vetheo does too, but he has to be a little bit careful here. Good bit of damage. Humanoid
the auto!
First blood! He saw it coming. He walks up anyway. Doesn't trade flash. It wouldn't have saved him. But that's the difference. We talked about individual performance. You leverage your laning strength. Vitality suddenly might start to find a way into this game. That's a big lead for Vetheo in the 1v1. 500 gold up.
The solo kill is insane. Because, again, obviously... Oh, hang on.
Hylissang not going to find the knockup. Good bit of damage back.
He's going to be fine. But the fact that you get the control early game to kind of keep Humanoid in check. Now, you did have to burn your flash, which makes you a little bit more vulnerable to Razork and Humanoid at the level 6 marks. Yeah. But still, I think you kind of get at least the early gold. I was going to say maybe go for the early Merc threads as well as the Orianna, but opting in towards the Ionian Boots of Lucidity means that he'll have more opportunities to poke Humanoid in this mid lane, but may suffer if Humanoid goes for some sort of ult into charm.
Which is likely to be the setup. Obviously, Humanoid holds onto his flash there, so there's room in the grand scheme of things to balance that out. It's that initial kill, but good sign for Vetheo. Leveraging the laning power of Orianna, we see a lot of players just get small leads, but not really able to transition that into something bigger. Vetheo getting the solo kill. Now, Hilly left all on his lonesome to farm. Carzzy could be the one to roam, but he's just going to return bot lane.
Yeah, I think it's more Jun I'll be watching from the roaming perspective. Carzzy more than likely will link up with Dagdas at some stage, try and get souls off the camps and that, but I think Jun has a good moment here to try and roam, especially if he links up with Razork. You can already see defensive vision control from Vitality, the pink ward in the back of their own red. They are aware that they are the ones that will play in the back foot. So with Vetheo not having any flash, he has to play extra safe.
Photon. Excellent start to the trade there, but again, similar to our previous matchup, Oscarinin prioritizing these champions with just obnoxious amounts of lane sustain. Unless you can go for the all-in, it's really hard to win an extended trade.
Look, at least we don't get any lane swaps, you know? Makes it so much easier to keep track of. But Vetheo, they have to swap out of this one.
Instant flash charm! The knockup is there! The shockwave is good! But the kill comes through for Fnatic. Clean punish. Humanoid holding onto that flash, giving up his life, but manages to get the trade back.
3 flashes burnt by Fnatic to get that, so it is the 1-for-1 in the extended look at things, but I don't know if 3 flashes might have been as worth as that kill on Vetheo, but we'll have to see as they will go over towards the Void Grubs. Daglas is going to move in here to zone Noah off the bot lane, and Vitality should be able to transition this in towards the Dragon early if they want to.
Yeah, because while it does
Vitality
even up,
got the Void Grubs, not bad.
Yeah, while it does even up the mid lane kills overall, gives a lot of free time on the bot side for Carzzy and Hylissang as the 1v1's top lane just continue to come through. Photon still has access to ult, as does Oscar, but Humanoid on the way. Razork too. Photon immediately going to ult for a little bit extra movement speed. Needs to sidestep. Clean Q back to interrupt the vault breaker from Photon, forcing the ult out as well. They're going to grab the kill, but it's a solid play to kick things off. Oscar walking away, keeping that passive up too. Fnatic Another excellent dive.
And that was really cleanly executed. Even if Oscarinin had taken an extra tower shot, had the Resurrects, it would have been completely fine. I think that's where, again, it comes back to Fnatic are the ones with the competition they have that can make these plays. And as soon as they know that Daglas is somewhere on the map, they're just going to go for the cross map, get that kill nice and early, and now 2 kills for Humanoid. Suddenly this mid lane matchup doesn't matter as much as the solo kill went across.
Definitely doesn't. Knock up on the Hylissang. Good as Jun just goes in and goes out. Doesn't want to take a longer trade against the Tahm Kench. That tongue lash healing obviously frustrating to deal with. And right now, Fnatic pretty comfortable. Yes, Vitality are getting objectives, and the Senna is stacking up souls at a pretty decent pace, but if they can keep this going and they have the tools to do it, likely to generate an even bigger advantage. We're going to have to keep track of the 3-man core of Jun, Humanoid, and Razork when it comes to making these plays across the map.
And this is why I want to see Dagda start to sync up with Razork. So you can see he's gone in towards his top side, now starting to move into his bot lane to match what he expects is going to be Razork's path team of moving back into the bot side after getting the plays on top. So at least Daglas will be matching Razork at the moment, but Razork has already done a decent job of desyncing himself from Daglas, so he is able to go for the cross maps. And now the Humanoid's unlocked as well. You essentially get, well, I was going to say a third jungler, because Jun's been doing a great job as well of just moving around the map. And that's why Vitality, they need to get more of this vision down, defensive vision down, to spot out how Fnatic are moving around the map.
Yeah, it's so hard. This is one of the things. Vitality put themselves in a bit of a hole in the early game with this draft. Yes, Orianna wave clear is decent, but Senna Tahm Kench notoriously bad at pressuring. Photon not going to be a great spot up against the Zac, and so it's hard for them to really respond to a lot of the plays that Fnatic are making.
Especially when Fnatic have great vision, as Humanoid, yeah, he's going to be fine, but I just wanted to highlight this ward here as well. It was actually really, really smart. So that ward doesn't ever get spotted because Daglas always queues over the wall. He wants to try and make as much time or use out of his abilities as he goes through. So you actually just spot him on the Raptors, but he never gets cleared out. So really nice one there as Vetheo. Going to spot Razork moving through the mid lane.
Hits him with a thumbs up. This time around, he does have the flash. Razork and Humanoid still waiting on those cooldowns to come back. But as long as Humanoid has that ultimate, he can play a little bit forward. Fnatic setting up on the top side. Second grub spawn ready. Daglas debating if he wants to kick things off, but doesn't have a support in the immediate area. Entirely dark, though, for the side of Fnatic. Jun steps up, throws out a quick Gleaming Quill, and Battle dances back to safety. I mean, very tempered from Fnatic. Not to overcommit here, but Vitality, I also don't know if there's a whole lot they can do without Carzzy and Hylissang, but speak of the devil, here they come. Vitality committed. Bot lane's obviously in a neutral state, so they are ready to put a bit of extra resources towards the top side of the map to ensure they can get a few more grubs.
His recess. I think Vitality want to try and fight this, but Noah didn't go boss. He's starting to come in. Humanoid very late on the reset, though, means that Vitality should be able to get the majority of these.
Hylissang's right there, though. There's not really anyone they can isolate other than Daglas. Snare's not going to connect. Daglas tries to interrupt, but crucially Razork gets one. Hylissang now leaping in. The jungler just going to get taken out. Doesn't even get a chance to ultimate. Hylissang now trying to walk back the rest of his team. Charm connecting. Ulti from Mars going to lock up 2. Vetheo hit on the backside as Fnatic try desperately to disengage. Curse of the Black Mist. A bit of extra protection. Hylissang forced to flash to safety. But crucially, that 1 grub is denied. It denies the 5 grub buff. It pushes Vitality out of the area, and it's 2-2 in the overall kill score.
The kill going across, though, makes that very nice for Vitality. And it was a bit of a late movement here from Fnatic. Humanoid went back to base, didn't quite have the TP up on time, so had to walk his way in. So as we come into this fight, you can see Humanoid trying to make his way back into the play, and Razork needs to move in because it's going to be easy for Daglas to finish these off, but this fight comes through. The execute on towards Razork is great from Vitality. And yes, you get everything thrown at Hilly, but the heal comes through, the grey health comes through, and at the end of it, he flashes away from any sort of follow-up Fnatic have.
Good that he's able to survive. Fnatic losing that kill, not ideal. I don't even know if they really needed to care that much about 5 grub buff. Vitality don't really have pressure across most of the map, but chose to commit for it. Does cost them a bit as Hylissang is now flashless, and it looks like Fnatic want to take that opportunity. Put more attention on the bottom side. For now, it's Noah and Jun, but Razork hovering in the area. Dragon 44 seconds away. See some vision placed down here as Vitality. No, they can't really walk up into the river, but they can at least get a cheeky ward into the pit.
Again, though, it's Daglas on the top side, but Fnatic are looking to attack that bottom side. So maybe there is a window here with 2 minutes where he actually gets that hotspot grub. But yeah, they're just spotting Razork on the map, so Daglas going to move back in, try and cover. But I think, yeah,
The debate.
he's going to hold on in towards this mid lane.
I'm just watching Daglas on the minimap. Will he go for the grub? It's a bad, like,
Oh,
it's
Carzzy.
Carzzy. Hylissang. No flash on the frog. Catfish, excuse me, but he'll make it out for now. No immediate follow-up either. Fnatic, I think, hesitate when picking their targets. Humanoid's ult not going to amount to much, but it does get them control of the Dragon Pit. Daglas in the
to
air.
fight this is Vitality, though. Humanoid has no ult now, which is pretty big for this upcoming fight if you want to, but they are very split. And Fnatic want to turn their attention to Vetheo to find the pick beforehand.
Vetheo needs to walk up, but the flash forward into the ultimate. Jun immediately going to follow with the entrance. Noah's got the damage, and that's going to be the kill. Shockwave fizzles because the Orianna dies mid-animation. 1v1 on the top side. Photon doing a lot of work here. Oscar starting to fall behind. The Aatrox online. Let's bouncing out to safety. Getting the extra blobs will be okay, but the Dragon's been started by Fnatic. Vitality now walking up. 3v3. Humanoid not in the immediate area. Will finally start to walk over. Vitality. This is kind of crazy to be contesting this. Even without ulti, Humanoid is still a powerhouse. Decent damage onto Hylissang. Daglas buying as much base as they can, but Carzzy slowly but surely started chipping away at these health bars. That's a beefy catfish, but the engage is there. Hylissang gets a bit more space. TP now coming in. Carzzy into the back line. It's a melee range Senna, and it's working. Jun now on the retreat. Blast cone out. Carzzy wants to finish the kill. He wants one more, but Humanoid is here to punish. There's one back for the Ahri. A bit extra healing. Razork still stepping up. Needs to be a bit careful. Daglas, the body block from Vetheo is good to stop Razork from getting to the back line. The shockwave is there. It didn't get used in the previous fight. The dash up just in time for Humanoid to get out, but Jun lingers a bit too long. He wants one back, and it's a double for Vetheo.
They bought just enough time to get the reset from Vetheo, thanks to the TP into that fight. And yes, the Dragon went over, but that's so many kills that go over in favor of Vitality. And now getting to get some much needed first items coming through as well. Vetheo looking good off the back of that.
14 minutes in, Carzzy at 60 souls as well. 60 extra range, a lot of extra AD. He's starting to hurt, and this is a wild fight.
The Daglas prevents Humanoid from coming in, and yes, Jun goes forward, but Haley knows that he's very tanky. Great ultimate from Carzzy off the back of this, and even as they try to go forward with Razork, he just gobbles up Senna and then repositions him at the back line, so he's in a great spot, but Razork does have the chase down potential. Daglas, I thought, it interrupted enough to save here, but Humanoid had just barely got the W off before the Shroud comes down on the Senna. And then watch the shockwave here. Vetheo, right as Humanoid is about to go forward, but Hylissang able to connect onto Jun on the back line. Even though the Ahri escapes, Vitality get a lot of gold onto the carries.
I was saying cooking. Now a little bit in trouble here. Is relatively tanky, but it's 3 members of Fnatic, 4 members of Fnatic, but Noah's going to turn his sights back on the mid lane. TP out,
No
waits for the charm. There's no way that works. What? Well, you got to try sometimes. Respectable effort. Anyway,
It's just never gonna happen.
it was not going to complete. Photon, though, obviously farming damage, as you can see from the Santander total damage. He is playing against his axe. Those numbers are a bit fake for Vetheo. Carzzy doing a bit of work here. Oscar coming in, though. Vetheo now the one who's been caught out, making him kiss. The shockwave coming through as well, but Fnatic obliterate that fight. They don't have their support. Never mind, that's their support. It's Carzzy. He hasn't been farming, and now he's dead.
Haley getting caught and then not having the TP to join the fight comes back to bite them because Fnatic teleport into the play. Now, yes, you get the Herald. You see that in the hands of Daglas, but 5 to 8 in the kills. Slowly, this gold lead starting to open up for Fnatic.
And Oscar, the one who benefits so much. Okay, so they start this at a man disadvantage. All of Fnatic are descending. TP in. Looks good for Fnatic.
But it's Vetheo getting caught. The Aatrox immediately getting burst out for Photon. And there's just nowhere else to really turn to. You don't have any damage left. Good ultimate from Razork as well to keep Daglas at bay as the rest of Fnatic turn on towards the AD carry.
Here we see the Fnatic coachings. No, sorry, that's just Cadril. Not Cadril. I can see him with his hand on his face as he reacts to himself reacting to the game. Just that moment of embarrassment. What's up, Mark?
Oh my. How's it going, bud?
Santander first turret. 3K lead now at this point for Fnatic. I think Vitality, every time they do something that feels like it brings them back to the game, they get a little over-eager to make these plays. And while there are a lot of things about their composition that favors them as they go later into the game, they still have to give some respect over to the playmaking that Fnatic really bring with this comp.
And especially when you look towards the 1-3-1 and side lane pressure, but Vitality want to try and respond to that. So Humanoid, relatively safe in the side lane. Orianna, never safe in the side lane because she just is so vulnerable with the amount of chase down potential that Fnatic have. So as long as Fnatic are able to separate out the map, they're good. But Razork gonna have to get out of here. Should be all right.
Ball breaker Jun Can just go for a bit of a knock-up if he wants to try and disengage. Shockwave whiffs completely.
So I think he expected Daglas to use his E because all the stacks were there into Razork, then the Shockwave would come through, but a little bit of miscommunication there on Vitality means that they don't actually get to play, and now Fnatic feel significantly more confident moving up here.
Definitely do. Carzzy, 1 stack away from 80. Nice break point to hit, but Noah already completing the Blade of the Rune King. Ulti in onto Photon. It's a bit of a delayed exchange. Shield coming in from the Senna. TP there as well. Nice play to kick things off from Photon, forcing the flash out from Razork. Humanoid dashes over the wall. Photon has to be careful about stepping too far up. Daglas on the way. Razork now retreating back to enemy territory, just trying to draw Vitality's attention. He knows the play is fizzled. Most he's going to have to give is his life. Nice turn back cover on the Carzzy. Good David, and here comes Oscar! It's a genius play in the end. He buys time for the rest of his team to show up, and Razork still alive. Stopwatch is there, but Oscarinin bouncing through the back line effortlessly. Vitality now on the retreat. Fnatic pushing forward with 4, but one more time, the interrupt on the Arctic Assault. Daglas gonna find the angle, but the charm over the wall, and the Vetheo is big! Double kill for Noah. Fnatic, when the extended exchange coming out on top once again.
And the initial play looks like it's gone completely astray for Fnatic. The tower dive looks messy. Photon has the Merc thread, so is able to get away from the initial play. But because you had the Zac come in towards mid, it actually takes a second for Vitality to respond because they have a 2v2 in mid. And as they start to chase on, this was great from Razork. Finding that angle, the jump onto Carzzy, hiding that push that has the pink wards, he can't follow up with the auto attacks. And then the rest of Fnatic follow through. Jun with the double knock-up, one of them onto Vetheo, forcing him to go golden. Means that a lot of that damage isn't there from the Orianna. And Carzzy's trying his best to deal out damage in this fight, but there's just not enough that can match with the amount Fnatic are churning out right now.
Certainly not. Herald used on the top side. Carzzy getting shredded. Hylissang finally going to use the ultimate Devour. But he's just buying a couple extra seconds. Now going to journey out to safety, trying to spit Carzzy out. That shield going to start to fade away. Curse of the Black Mist, trying to stay healthy. Flash back from Carzzy is good. Doesn't deny the initial pick, but now it's Hylissang who's in trouble. Herald on the top side, already going to grab the tower. Tahm Kench likely to fall. Shield now finally coming through on the thick skip, but the charm connects. And Noah now on a killing spree. One more charge into the top lane as Photon desperately tries to get a little bit something extra back. We're a few seconds away from Baron. Fnatic, they take down Photon, likely to just turn their sights on the objective, but they got some relatively low on cooldowns as Carzzy is in enemy territory right now. Vitality, I think, overstaying here. They're trying to take the jungle out to make sure that nothing can happen, and Razork's still alive again for a second. The healing coming through Sundered Sky, looking like a nice and balanced item in that moment. Vitality again, they can't help it. They want to kill Razork so bad, but they're all dying for their attempts. The shockwave is good from Vetheo, but the follow-up is not enough. Hylissang out. Fnatic obliterating Vitality in back-to-back fights.
5 people on Fnatic fall as they try to make something happen on the top side, but Fnatic will not be denied as they immediately turn over towards the Baron. And Vitality, they had some explaining to do. They thought they could make a pick onto the top side, but Carzzy is completely zoned out. You're not going to be able to get Razork, as you say, getting those small heals from the Sundered Sky. And then the TP comes in, is just a desperate attempt to save the play, but Hilly charmed immediately. And Jun will fall in the midst of all this, thanks to a good shockwave from Vetheo. But it is not enough. Fnatic come out on top.
Mixture of laughter and shouting. Absolutely the vibe of this game. Fnatic strong in this one, and again, I think Vitality put themselves in the back foot and draft said, hey, we can outscale. We have a draft that if we play a little bit more tempered, you know, and go to the late game, things will work in our favor. They are not playing more tempered. They are playing absolutely nuts right now. Why are they so aggressive?
And Noah's taking his temper out of Vitality. This guy has had a great series. The Xayah game last time, most damage in that last fight. Stepping up again.
Shockwave good to start things off. Jun though, Humanoid off to the side as well. Again, another fight. In the blink of an eye, they're gone. They disappear. Vitality sent running. Fnatic so clean when they pull the trigger, when they have the tools to start a fight. They're gonna start it. Photon tries to get something back. The Aatrox is good. It brings a bit of hope for Vitality, but not enough to take the fight. Humanoid plays cleanup. It's a double for the Ahri. The triple coming in for Noah. And an absolute slaughter.
And you could just get both of these outer towers now. Nova going to finish off the mid lane. There's going to be another minion wave Congo wave lining its way in a moment. And they move their attention to bot side as well, as Oscarinin wants to try and push that one in. Dragon up and available as well. Vitality lose so much off the back of that play thanks to the Baron buff.
And you can see Vitality think they have an angle, but it's a magic trick. Let's watch an entire team disappear.
Yeah, the double knock-up immediately with Humanoid there. Oscarinin coming in over the back line as well. And sure, Hilly tries to save anyone, but there's just not a hope. Fnatic are ruthless in how quickly they want to close out this game.
They're too far behind, and Fnatic aren't just going to give them any more of these cheeky little step forwards where they maybe fish for an angle or fish for a pick. It's a huge lead. Again, winner of this goes on to face BDS next week in our first best of 5. Winner of that plays G2 in the finals, but right now Vitality can't afford to be thinking about next week. They need to think about the game that's in front of them. It's going to be a desperate hold. It's already almost a 5K Baron power play. We must have missed a lot of towers going down in that replay.
Yeah, I mean, they already are putting pressure onto the bottom side tower, which is why you're seeing 3 members of Vitality try to go there, but Oscarinin doesn't give them the angle of attack. Instead, it just gives Fnatic 2 more towers on the top side of the map. And now Vitality trying to see if they can make some sort of play in here, but Oscarinin, he gets bot side tower as well. He can still TP in.
And
Fnatic,
advantage.
blood in the water.
Razork unstoppable. Jun immediately follows up. Hylissang denies the play. Carzzy, does he have enough damage to bring this fight back? Good ulti across the team. Flash away from the Zac, but Humanoid's on the chase. Determined. The knockup from Hylissang buys a bit more space, but the base is falling apart. Razork doesn't even care about the fight, and that's it. They're done. Ring the bell. Throw in the towel. This game is over. Fnatic, with absolute confidence from beginning to end, move on to match point. It's going to take a moment longer, but Vitality are sent back to the drawing board for Game 4.
There is no mercy from Fnatic. You cannot give them that much control in the early game, and Vitality just found out why.
And we talked about this series, smiles, momentum, bounds between the teams.
The high five.
And Humanoid said, after a bad week of practice, we played bad on stage. Well, I don't know what happened in the one day between we last saw them, but it must have been some damn good practice, because Fnatic playing together, playing with confidence, recovering from a rough Game 1. This is what you want to see from this team. And for Vitality, we saw how good they can be in Game 1, but this game, so aggressive, so eager, over-forcing, and Fnatic more than happy to show them the error of their ways. Game 4 right around the corner. For now, we're going to send it to a quick break.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Oh.